Hi guys, welcome to my channel. So I made a similar comparison video with the 2020 iPad Pro last year, but so many of you are still unable to decide between getting the latest and the greatest M1 iPad Pro or go for that extra memory of the iPad Air 4 instead. So I'm making this video hoping that it will help you make that decision. First, let's talk numbers. The M1 iPad Pro 11 inches costs $799 or £749, which gives you a base storage of 128 gigabytes. And the iPad Air 4 starts at $599, but the model which we are going to consider today is the 256 gigabyte storage option, which costs $749 American or $729 British pounds. Now, the costs are directly from apple.com, but I've seen almost $100 discount on the iPad Air 4 256 gigabytes model. Let's leave this topic of discounts for the moment and come back to it later in the video. But first, let's consider the sticker prices for both of these devices, $799 versus $749. There is an additional $50 or £50 which the Pro demands. And whatever way you look at this, that extra $50 for the Pro is totally worth it. For the price, with the new iPad Pro, you get the greatest thing that has come out of Apple's labs in recent years. That super efficient and super fast M1 chip. You'll get 8 gigs of RAM, which is twice the amount of the RAM which is present in the iPad Air. You also get Apple's excellent ProMotion display, which has 120Hz refresh rate. You get dual camera setup with LiDAR scanner, quad stereo speaker setup, and a brighter screen than the Air 4. On the iPad Air 4, you get Apple's A14 Bionic chip, which is an older generation chip which has a 7-core CPU and 4-core GPU as opposed to the 8-core CPU and GPU setup in the M1 chip. The RAM is only half the amount of the iPad Pro, which is at 4 gigabytes. The speaker setup is only dual stereo speakers, even though the device actually has 4 speaker grills. There is no ProMotion screen, and the screen brightness is at 500 nits instead of 600 nits of that iPad Pro. So the additional cost which you're paying for the iPad Air 4 is only for that extra 128 gigabytes of storage which you will be getting if you opt this version. In whatever way you look at this, there really is no point in paying nearly the cost of an iPad Pro for an iPad Air 4. That is, unless you absolutely, desperately need that 120 gigs of extra storage. Now, talking about storage, I've got questions from viewers worried about running out of storage space long term as they've decided to keep the iPad for the next 5 to 8 years. See, again, the M1 iPad Pro will get longer software updates than iPad Air 4. The M1 chip with 8 gigs of RAM in the base model is better in every way compared to the A14 Bionic with 4 gigs of RAM in the iPad Air 4. So it is a given fact that the iPad Pro will be supported for longer. And keep in mind guys, we are comparing 256 gigs iPad Air versus 128 gigabytes M1 iPad Pro and talking about longevity and software support. And in my opinion, what's the use of having additional storage without having that software support? Again, guys, I'm talking about this down the lane. I'm pretty sure iPad Air will be supported for at least 5 more years and maybe even more. But talking about years down the lane from now, I would happily compromise and give up that additional storage for extra years of software support. Now, I did get questions about storage from a variety of users ranging from students, medical professionals to artists and video editors. Let's look at my iPads and talk about storage a bit more. The system reserves anywhere between 8 to 10 gigs for the OS and system files. The next big culprit which hogs storage space are your personal photos and video files. I tend to max out in this category, but again, I record and store a lot of videos for my YouTube channel here. So I get the help of cloud storage, and this saves me a lot of space. If you see my cloud storage, I nearly have used 133 gigabytes of my 200 gigs allocation. But again, like I said, most of them are videos for YouTube, which I tend to keep for future use. If this is not what your photo or video storage is going to look like, then you'd have no issues. The next is movies. I know I might be the only one of the very few who still buys and stores movies, as everything is now on streaming. But it is a given fact that movie files, especially if you buy and store HD versions, they tend to take up more space. If you want examples, here's Tenet in HD, which is taking up 6 gigs. Black Widow is about 5.4 gigabytes. A Quiet Place 2 is about 4 gigs. For my Indian friends, Dil Chahta Hai is about 8 gigs and Rangila in SD is about 2 gigs. So you get the picture. If you download and store movies, then HD versions come at 6 to 8 gigs per film and SD at 2 to 3 gigs per film. Next are games. I still have Fortnite, which is no longer available, but that really takes a whopping 10 gigs of storage. But on the same lines, PUBG only uses about 2.67 gigabytes. Asphalt 9 uses 2.2, Guns of Boom at 1.4, and Need for Speed No Limits at 2.7 gigs. Surprisingly, Angry Birds AR, which I thought would be heavy due to the AR element, is only taking up 160 megabytes of storage. So unless you're still keeping Fortnite like me, you're looking at 2 to 3 gigs per game for high-end resource-intensive games. Next comes apps. All your social media apps and utility apps will take somewhere around 100 to 300 MB each. The Pro apps, on the other hand, take up storage based on your projects. If you see LumaFusion, I actually keep about 3 of my old projects and it takes somewhere between 6 to 8 gigs. Lightroom, on the other hand, I have about 70 pictures shot at 12 million pixels and it's taking about 400 megabytes. Productive apps like Pages, Keynote, Numbers, they all need about 500 MB each. Ebooks, on the other hand, do not take much storage. As you can see, all these books for dummies and the programming books, they all take about a couple of kilobytes to megabytes. So you can easily store over hundreds of ebooks without any issue. And finally, coming to music, I don't store that much music on my iPad, but on my iPhone, I've got about over 4 gigs of music files. I think that basically covers everything there is about storage. And if you need more storage, then besides apps, everything else like your ebooks, movies, project files can be stored on an external storage device, especially when they have become so cheap. So the bottom line is that you investing on the iPad Pro 2021 model is a far better option than opting for the 256 gigs iPad Air 4. I strongly advise against spending over £700 for an iPad Air and go for the Pro version instead. You get so much more with the Pro, plus if you need additional storage, use external drives or cloud storage to complement. Now that is based on the sticker price of both these devices. But iPad Air 4 is nearly a year old, so it does have some decent discounts available on it. I'm not sure if Apple is planning to update it this year. There are absolutely no rumors or leaks surfaced on it, and I think Apple will probably skip updating it altogether this year. Or even if it does update it, the iPad Air 4 might get a small speed bump or maybe a new color. So you could take a chance and buy the iPad Air 4, but this is around September's time, guys. Just wait a little if you're planning to invest on any one of the device. Just wait until the September events are done so you get a better picture on what's coming out. Now, the best price which I've seen for iPad Air 4 256 gigs version is about £80 off here in the UK. So the price is going down to £649, which means that there is a difference about £100 between the iPad Air 4 and M1 iPad Pro 11-inch model. The M1 iPad Pro, being a relatively new device, hasn't got much discounts on it. The best I could find was about £30 off, that too only on the silver color. So now with around £100 or $100 saving, would I recommend the iPad Air 4 256GB version? The answer is maybe. See, even after watching all of the above, if you still feel that 128 gigs is too low for you, then yes, go for the iPad Air 4. But make sure that you're getting at least $100 discount on it, and do not at any cost pay the full sticker price if you're going to invest on one today. So those are my thoughts, guys. A disclaimer here, everything which I said is based on my usage, even though I try to keep it as generic as possible. Your usage cases might be different. You might be storing hundreds of LumaFusion project files or hundreds of raw pictures on Adobe. Then your needs might be totally different to mine. But yes, I tried to cover most generic usage case scenarios, hoping that it would help you make that right decision in choosing that perfect iPad, which is going to last you for the next 5 to 8 years. So that's it for the video, guys. Do let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do let me know if you agree or disagree with me on this and any other suggestions so we can all benefit. And if you like this video, please do hit that like button. And if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe and join Team RaavMedia so we can keep this channel going. And as always, thanks a lot for staying with me until the end. I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.